Hey guys, AMAC 20876 here. How are you doing, AMAC 576, AMAC 1654, AMAC 3589? Enough of the formalities. Do you have it? Of course I have it. And I'm pretty sure one of your boys already knows that, considering he tried to take it from me last night. Without paying. Don't worry though. I spared his life, out of respect for you. Really? I slipped on ice and he ran away. Yeah, that sounds about right. But before we get to that, I want my payment. Of course. That's not what the deal's for. Fine. Take it. Oh, heck yeah! I'm gonna color the shit out of these Pikachus. Now for your end of the deal. Oh, yeah, right. Here you go. Spectacular. Yep, good deal. Now we can all leave happy. Yes. We'll leave. With the Nes Classic and the activity book. What? Why do you even want this? Because I can take it. Now, hand it over. Okay, you got me, but... Oh my god, what is that? Dang it, we need to find him. He took the Nes Classic. Boss, I know this might not be the best time to ask, but what is this Nes Classic, and why are you so obsessed with it? You don't know about the Nes Classic? Fine. While we hunt this bozo, I'll tell you all about the Nes Classic, and the golden age of mini-consoles it helped start. It was late 2016, and by this point, it had become clear to everyone that the Wii U was dying. Nintendo finally just decided to take it down to the river and tell it to think about the rabbits before it announced the Switch. Yet they were placing all their bets on this new console, but that left them with a big problem. You see, the Switch wasn't releasing till March of next year. Going into the holiday season, the only major games releasing were Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now this was fine for 3DS owners, but it meant that Wii U owners had nothing to buy. Nintendo couldn't afford to leave this much money on the table. They needed something big to fill the gap. But all their game devs were working on stuff for the Switch. Then it hit them. The Nes Classic was a completely new console that required no proprietary hardware to use. It was designed to be a smaller version of the original NES, but the difference is, this had 30 built-in games from the best of the NES's library. Nintendo raised the bar on what mini-consoles could be. They took the time to do it right, and made sure that the emulation for each game was perfect. In addition, they added tons of different options that you could use to tweak how the games looked and sound. They even include save points and a slick menu for game selection. As for the games themselves, they really focused on quality over quantity. All the games included were spectacular titles that define the system. Barring a few exceptions. The system itself was well made and looked exactly like a mini NES. Honestly, I don't know if I should be playing this thing or just displaying it. It just looks so cool. Also, at this point, it should go without saying that the included controller looks and feels exactly like the original NES controller. This console really was the perfect product for everyone. Collectors got a fun new display piece, older gamers got a chance to relive their nostalgia, parents could buy it without worrying about what system their kids had, and casual gamers got 30 new games to play. And at the price point of $60, there really was no reason not to buy it. The NES Classic was an extremely successful product, but it was only the beginning. Little did we know at the time, but this success would lead to a new golden age of mini-consoles. The first of these to come out was the SNES Classic. For the most part, this system was second verse same as the first, although with a few key differences. First off, the price was raised from $60 to $80, and the game count was reduced from 30 to 21. Now, this may sound like a downgrade, but the system also included a second controller, and one of the games on it was the previously never released Star Fox 2. These being SNES games, they were also a lot beefier than those found on the NES. Overall, this was another high-quality console with a fantastic selection of games. People were getting really excited for an N64 Classic, but as the months went by, we heard nothing about it. Eventually, Nintendo came out and officially said they won't be making one since they were putting all their effort towards the Switch. This disappointed a lot of people, and many believed this was the end of the era for mini consoles. They were wrong. 2018 is the year when every company under the sun decided to enter the classic console ring. We got the C64 Mini, Neo Geo Mini International, PlayStation Classic. Yeah, I own none of these. For various reasons, these consoles never really attracted me, and as such, I don't know too much about them. But hey, when has ignorance to a topic ever stopped me from talking about it? The C64 Mini was released on October 9th. If the idea of a mini Commodore 64 is attractive to you, then this is the perfect machine. For just $80, you got 64 games and a fantastic replica of the original system. While the games pre-installed are pretty hit or miss, what separates the C64 from the competition is how easy it is to install more games. You can load any Commodore ROM using only a thumb drive. This gives you full access to the Commodore's extensive homebrew library, and yeah, you can also legally pirate games if you feel like being damned. Overall, this system is a great way to play all these games without dealing with the long load times and technical issues present in the original Commodore. Boss, I'm kinda confused. Oh, well don't worry. There's still a few consoles I haven't gone around to yet, so by the end it should all make sense. No, I mean I'm confused about this video. Why do we parry Temple of Doom in the first scene? Our channel has nothing to do with movies. Also, does the whole treasure hunter vibe even make sense for this video? Yeah, the NES Classic was hard to get, but the rest of them were pretty easy to obtain. Why are there numbers after all of our names? Are we clones? Are we from a different dimension? And hey, you never explained why you want the NES... Poor kid. He was asking too many questions. Less than a week after the C64 Mini released, the Neo Geo International Mini dropped. Wait, why do you need to continue your explanation if 1654 is dead? Oh, so now you want to start asking questions? No, sir. That's what I thought! What separates this mini console from its competition was that in addition to connecting to a TV, it's also a fully functional mini arcade cabinet. This was really cool, and the screen on the system is super crisp. The system itself also comes with 40 built-in games for the low price of $50. Unfortunately, that's where the positives mostly end. While the system's screen was high quality, it was also tiny, and this was far from the best way to play these games. The included joystick wasn't clicky, and the buttons had been rearranged from their original placing. Now, this would still be a cool desk toy or travel entertainment, if it weren't for the fact that it needed to be plugged in at all times in order to work. Also, while the console itself could connect to the TV, the controller and HDMI cord were sold separately. When you finally do hook it up, you may be disappointed to learn that the games aren't as crisp as you'd like. They don't look nearly as good as they do on the Switch, or even as crisp as the games on the NES Classic do. Most of the games included here are available on the Switch at a higher resolution and are actually portable. Meaning, if you already have a Switch, I don't know why you get this. Next up is the big one, the Ps1 Classic. This system was mini console's first step into the 5th generation of gaming, and people were hyped for it. Then they saw the games list. Included were such classics as Jumping Flash, Intelligent Cube, and Battle Arena Toshiden. Honestly though, I thought the lineup was fine. The majority of games were titles that have stood the test of time, and I never minded a few deep cuts. Problem is, the PS1's library was so big that no matter what they chose, they'd be leaving out someone's favorite game. I wasn't opposed to buying the console because of its games lineup. I didn't buy it because of everything else. First of all, the included controllers were the original ones, not the DualShocks, making games like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six nearly unplayable. Also, it seemed like Sony was putting in the bare minimum for their menus and game options. There are no options for scan lines, borders, or aspect ratios. But the big kicker for me, though, was the poor emulation. These games are slow and ugly, to the point that many of them actually look and play better on the original PlayStation. The only really good thing about this system is the build quality, and if you're technically inclined, then you can hack it to improve the emulation, but otherwise I'd avoid it. Finally, we have the Sega Genesis Mini. This console released in the summer of 2019, and by that point, the initial hype for mini consoles that the NES and Snes Classic had created was all but gone. This console was released with very little fanfare, which is a shame because this may be the best of them all. This thing comes with 42 games, and oh my god, this may be the best games lineup I've ever seen. From Sonic to Shinobi, it contains almost every game you could hope for. There's even titles here that were never released in the US, such as Tetris and Mega Man The Wily Wars. There's also a ton of different ways to adjust these games. You can add a CRT filter, change the background, toggle the game's aspect ratio, and even change between the American, European, and Japanese versions of each game. Overall, this thing is amazing, and if it really is the last mini console, then this is one heck of a note to end on. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this. Well, at least you're alive, just unconscious, which is more than I can say about the other three. You need to end this treasure hunting habit. It's gonna get you killed someday. Get your rest now. If my sources are right, then your assistance will soon be required. After all, it's not like we can count on 50,000 to do everything.